Olivia had always known what it meant to struggle. Raised by a single mother, life had never been easy. Her father had left them when Olivia was just a baby, chasing after wealth and a life of luxury with another woman. Her mother, Elena, had been forced to raise Olivia alone. And though they never had much, they had always made do. The apartment they lived in was small, the walls thin, but they had each other. Elena worked long hours in a local shop, her body weakened by the years of hard labor. But she always insisted that Olivia stay in school, that she find a way to rise above the poverty that had shackled them for so long. Olivia never questioned her mother's wishes. After all, she had seen firsthand what happened when you didn't aim higher. She watched her mother struggle and she refused to follow the same path. But the weight of the world had begun to press down on her. The scholarship to the prestigious university was her one shot at a better life. But even with the scholarship, Olivia needed extra funds to cover living expenses, books, and most importantly, her mother's growing medical bills. It was a constant battle. One summer morning, as Olivia sat on the worn-out couch in their apartment, her mother approached her with a piece of news that would change everything. "Olivia," her mother began, her voice gentle but determined.
"I've spoken with an old friend of mine. They're looking for a part-time maid. It's not much, but it will help."
Olivia looked at her mother hesitant. The job would give her the extra money she so desperately needed. But the thought of working as a maid was something she hadn't considered.
"Mom, I don't know if I can do that,"
Olivia said quietly, the uncertainty in her voice apparent.
"You don't have to worry,"
her mother replied, the corners of her lips curling into a small smile.
"I'll be fine. You've worked so hard, now it's time to take care of you too."
And so Olivia reluctantly agreed to take the job. She had no idea what she was walking into. Olivia's first day working at Mrs. Amelia's mansion was nothing short of overwhelming. She'd expected a large house, but she hadn't imagined just how massive it would be. The estate sprawled across several acres, a luxurious and imposing property that looked like something out of a fairy tale. Mrs. Amelia, her employer, was kind but distant, and Olivia quickly learned that she kept mostly to herself. There was an air of mystery about the woman, one that made Olivia curious but also uncomfortable. It wasn't long before Olivia realized that Mrs. Amelia was extremely wealthy. The mansion was filled with rare paintings, expensive furniture, and decorations that spoke to a life of privilege. What Olivia didn't know was that this mansion belonged to none other than Noah Hayes, the only son of Mrs. Amelia, a young man who was known throughout the city as the billionaire bad boy untouchable, reckless, and notorious for his wild behavior. He was someone no one could approach without fear. But Olivia had no idea. She only ever saw Mrs. Amelia when she came to work, and the mansion always seemed deserted, except for the staff. Olivia came to work every few days, cleaning, cooking, and organizing the grand home. But it was always the same empty, silent, and lonely. She never once crossed paths with Noah. And yet, even without meeting him, Noah had already begun to notice her. Noah stood in the hallway of his mansion, staring out the window at the sprawling grounds. His mind was consumed with his latest troubles. His mother, Mrs. Amelia, had been pushing him to meet Isabel, the daughter of one of her wealthiest friends. Isabel was beautiful, educated, and perfect for him, at least. That's what his mother believed. Noah didn't care. He didn't want Isabel. He didn't want anyone. The life of a billionaire had its privileges, but it also came with expectations. His mother had made it clear that she wanted him to marry someone of status, someone who could keep up with the family's reputation. But then he saw her. It was a fleeting moment. She was carrying a stack of cleaning supplies as she passed by in the hall. Her hair was dark, her face soft but strong, and there was something about her that caught his attention. Olivia! She was a maid. His mother's maid. Noah barely saw her, but she left a mark on him. He couldn't stop thinking about her. What was she doing in his home? Why did he care? Days passed, and Noah found himself unable to focus. He became obsessed with finding out more about Olivia. He couldn't stop thinking about her, even though he knew he shouldn't. His mother had made it clear that he was expected to be with someone like Isabel, but Olivia? Olivia was different. He hired someone to follow her to learn where she lived, what she did when she wasn't working. He was careful enough that she never knew. But Noah was relentless in his pursuit. He learned that Olivia lived in a modest apartment with her mother who was ill. The more Noah found out about her life, the more he felt a pull he couldn't explain. She was everything he didn't expect, but everything he wanted. And so Noah kept watching, keeping his distance, but never able to truly let go of the fascination he had for her. It was a Tuesday morning when their paths finally crossed. Noah was walking down the hallway of his school, surrounded by his usual crowd of friends. His reputation had long been cemented. He was a bad boy, the one people whispered about behind his back. He didn't care. He didn't need anyone's approval. And then he saw her. She was walking toward him, her head down, focused on something in her hands. Noah couldn't take his eyes off her. The moment their gazes met, he felt something shift inside him. She didn't smile, she didn't fawn over him. In fact, she looked annoyed, something that only intrigued him more.
Watch where you're going,
Noah said, stepping into her path, his voice sharp. Olivia looked up, her expression not one of awe, but annoyance. She didn't look impressed at all.
You're the one who's blocking the way.
She snapped. For a moment, Noah didn't know how to respond. It wasn't like the other girls. She wasn't afraid of him, nor was she interested. She was different. And that's when he realized he couldn't stop thinking about her. Days turned into weeks, and Noah couldn't shake Olivia from his mind. He couldn't focus at school. He found himself watching for her whenever she passed by. He watched from a distance, careful not to let anyone know about his growing obsession. Olivia, on the other hand, remained unaware of Noah's fascination. She had no idea that the rich, arrogant boy she had bumped into in the hallway was the son of Mrs. Amelia, her employer. Noah, too, kept his distance, though he couldn't help but be drawn to her. They had exchanged only a few words, but they felt significant. But there was one thing Noah didn't know. Olivia was just as curious about him. She hadn't seen him as anything more than a rich, spoiled brat until she saw the vulnerability behind his eyes. It was subtle, but it was there. And for some reason, that vulnerability called to her. They didn't speak again for days, but each of them couldn't help but wonder if their paths would cross again. It was during a late-night conversation with his friend, Leo, that Noah found himself admitting something he hadn't said aloud to anyone.
I can't stop thinking about her,
Noah confessed, his voice low.
The maid?
Leo raised an eyebrow.
Maid? Dude, you're talking about Olivia, aren't you? The one you've been staring at for weeks.
Noah looked away, frustrated.
I don't know what's happening. I don't want to feel this way. She's just a maid. She's not like Isabel or any of the other girls.
Leo laughed.
What? I never thought I'd hear this from you. A rich kid falling for a maid. What's next?
Noah didn't laugh. He didn't find it funny. He didn't know how to handle this. But for the first time in his life, Noah realized that there was something more to life than status, money, or even family expectations. Olivia made him feel alive in a way that no one else had. One evening, Noah finally found himself face to face with Olivia once more, but this time there was no hallway to hide in. No distractions. They were alone in the grand kitchen of the mansion. Olivia stood near the stove, stirring a pot, when Noah walked in. His heart raced as he looked at her. She glanced up, startled to see him there.
You're here,
she said, her voice guarded.
I had to see you,
Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The tension was thick between them.
Why are you doing this?
Olivia asked quietly, still unsure of what was happening between them. Noah took a step closer, his heart pounding.
Because I can't stop thinking about you. You're just different. You're not like the others.
Olivia felt a mixture of emotions, confusion, fear, and curiosity.
But I don't belong in your world, Noah. I'm just a maid.
Noah shook his head.
You don't have to belong to my world, Olivia. You belong in my heart.
Olivia stood in the grand kitchen, her heart pounding. Noah's confession had taken her by surprise. She didn't know how to respond. There was so much at stake: her reputation, her future, her mother's health. She couldn't afford to get involved with someone like him, someone whose life seemed so out of reach. Noah, sensing her hesitation, stepped closer, his voice softer this time.
Olivia, I know this is complicated, but I need you to understand that I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm just telling you how I feel.
She turned away, trying to steady her breath.
Noah, you don't get it. You're rich, you're powerful, you have everything. And
Her voice faltered.
I'm just trying to survive. I don't belong in your world.
Noah's expression darkened, but he reached out and gently turned her to face him.
Olivia, don't say that. You belong in my world as much as I belong in yours. Maybe even more.
Olivia felt a lump form in her throat, but she quickly swallowed it down. She couldn't fall for him. She couldn't allow herself to. But as Noah leaned closer, his hand brushing against hers, all her resolve began to crumble.
I'm not asking you to be someone else.
Noah continued, his voice low and intense.
I'm asking you to be with me, just as you are.
The days following their conversation were filled with tension, but also a growing connection that neither of them could deny. They kept their relationship a secret, meeting in hidden corners of the mansion whenever they could, their stolen moments full of passion and longing. Noah was careful, making sure no one knew what was going on between them. His mother, Mrs. Amelia, was always busy with her own affairs, leaving Noah with the freedom he needed to pursue his feelings for Olivia. But the secrecy was taking its toll on Olivia. She wasn't used to hiding her emotions, especially not when it came to someone like Noah, but she had no choice. She had to keep this relationship a secret, both for her safety and for Noah's reputation. One evening, after cleaning the mansion, Olivia was getting ready to leave when Noah pulled her aside, his expression serious.
Olivia, we can't keep doing this. I know it's hard, but I need you to trust me. Everything will work out.
She looked up at him, her heart torn.
I don't know if I can keep doing this, Noah. It's too dangerous. What if someone finds out? What if your mother finds out?
Noah shook his head, determination flashing in his eyes.
No one will find out. I won't let anything come between us.
But deep down, Olivia wasn't so sure. Just when Olivia thought she and Noah had everything under control, disaster struck. Noah's past came crashing back into their lives in the form of Isabel, his childhood friend and the girl Noah's mother had always envisioned him marrying. Isabel had been studying abroad, but now she was back. Noah had no idea how to handle it. He wasn't in love with her, but his mother expected him to be. And now with Isabel returning to town, Noah knew the pressure would mount. He couldn't afford for his mother to find out about Olivia. Isabel arrived at the mansion, her beauty and grace undeniable. She was everything Mrs. Amelia wanted for her son, rich, educated, and perfect in every way. He didn't want to hurt Isabel, but he also didn't want to hurt Olivia. He was caught between two worlds, and neither seemed to offer him a way out. Noah's guilt gnawed at him as he watched Isabel and his mother catch up, laughing and talking like they had never been apart. Olivia, on the other hand, was in the kitchen, trying to focus on her work, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Noah. She knew something was off. She could sense it. There was tension in the air, and she couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was about to change. The next day, as Olivia was cleaning, she overheard a conversation between Mrs. Amelia and Isabel. They were talking about the future, and Olivia couldn't help but feel like an outsider.
I'm just so glad you're back, Isabel.
Mrs. Amelia said.
You and Noah make such a perfect match. I've been waiting for this day for so long.
Olivia's heart sank. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Isabel was everything she wasn't. She was everything Noah's mother wanted for him. Olivia felt like a ghost in her own life, invisible and insignificant. As the days went by, Noah became more and more distant. Olivia could feel it, the coldness in his eyes, whenever they crossed paths. It was as if he had become a stranger. Finally, one evening when the mansion was quiet and everyone was either sleeping or out, Olivia confronted him.
Noah, what's going on?
She asked, her voice trembling.
Why are you pulling away from me?
Noah looked at her, his face a mask of confusion and frustration.
I don't know what to do anymore, Olivia. My mother wants Isabel. She's already playing our future together. I can't keep lying to her.
Olivia's heart broke. She had never seen Noah like this before, so vulnerable, so unsure of himself.
Noah, I don't want you to be with me just because you feel sorry for me,
Olivia said, her voice soft but firm.
If you want Isabel, then go to her. But don't drag me along in your mess.
No.
Noah said, stepping closer, his voice urgent.
But I don't want Isabel. I want you. But I don't know how to make my mother understand.
Olivia knew it was time to make a choice. The secrecy, the lies, it was all starting to weigh on her. She couldn't keep living like this. She couldn't be part of a relationship built on lies and shadows. She needed answers.
Noah, I can't keep doing this,
she said, her voice steady.
We need to decide what we want. I can't keep being in the dark while you hide everything from your mother.
Noah's eyes darkened with frustration.
I'm not hiding you, Olivia. I'm protecting you.
But at what cost?
Olivia asked, her heart aching.
I don't want to be protected. I want to be loved. I want to be seen.
The words hung heavy between them. Noah stood still, torn between his love for Olivia and his obligation to his mother. He knew he had to make a choice, but he wasn't sure he was ready.
I don't know if I can let go of my mother's expectations.
Noah admitted.
But I can't let go of you either.
Olivia looked at him, her heart aching for both of them.
Then you have to make a choice, Noah, me or your mother.
The days following their conversation were tense and fraught with emotion. Noah couldn't stop thinking about what Olivia had said. He knew she was right. He couldn't keep living in a world of lies. One afternoon, as Noah sat alone in his room, he made a decision. He knew what he had to do. He couldn't lose Olivia. Not now, not ever. He called her.
Olivia, I've made up my mind. I'm choosing you. I don't care what my mother thinks. I want to be with you.
Olivia's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, she couldn't speak.
Noah, you don't have to do this. You don't have to choose me.
But Noah was firm.
I'm choosing you, Olivia. No matter what happens, I want you by my side.
Noah's decision sent shockwaves through his family. Mrs. Amelia was furious when she learned that her son had chosen a maid over the sophisticated, rich Isabel. She couldn't believe what Noah was doing. But Noah stood his ground. He had made his choice. As for Olivia, she was torn. She loved Noah, but she didn't want to be the cause of a family's destruction. She didn't want to ruin his future. But Noah assured her time and time again that he was doing this for them. For their love. The storm was far from over, but Olivia and Noah stood strong. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face it together. As time passed, Olivia and Noah's relationship grew stronger. They continued to face challenges, but they did it side by side. They found ways to make it work, even as the world around them seemed to push against their love. Noah's mother never fully accepted Olivia, but she eventually came to terms with the fact that Noah would never be the man she had dreamed of. Noah was his own person, and he had chosen Olivia. Olivia, too, found her own way. She graduated with honors, her dreams coming true despite the odds. With Noah by her side, she realized that she could achieve anything. Together, they built a life that was theirs. A life filled with love, passion, and the hope of a brighter future. Years later, as Olivia and Noah stood hand in hand, looking at the life they had built, they both knew they had made the right choices. They had fought for their love, and it had been worth every sacrifice. Olivia's heart was full, knowing that they had overcome every obstacle together. And Noah, with a smile on his face, knew he had found the one thing that money couldn't buy true love. And so their journey continued, a journey that had started with a chance encounter and had blossomed into something beautiful, something unbreakable. Together, they had built a future that was theirs to shape, with nothing and no one standing in their way. As the years passed, Noah and Olivia had built a life that was nothing short of extraordinary. They were no longer just two people from different worlds, they were partners, facing everything the world threw at them together. Noah had graduated from university and started managing his family's business, and Olivia had started her own company, focused on helping young women who came from difficult backgrounds like she had. But even as they built their future, the world outside continued to test them. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, their hands intertwined, Olivia noticed a change in Noah. He had been distant lately, more absorbed in his work, leaving her to handle most of the daily responsibilities.
What's wrong, Noah?
She asked, concern creeping into her voice. He looked at her, eyes tired but filled with an emotion she couldn't quite place.
It's just, everything's moving so fast. I feel like I'm losing control.
Olivia squeezed his hand gently.
You're not alone in this. We've always made it through together.
Noah nodded, but didn't seem convinced.
I know, but sometimes I wonder if I've made the right decisions. If everything I've done for us, for this, is enough.
Olivia's heart sank. She could feel the weight of his words. The pressure of being the heir to $1 billion empire while trying to live a life that was truly his own. The constant battle to prove himself, both to the world and to his mother, was exhausting him.
You've done more than enough, Noah. You've chosen love over everything else. Don't doubt that.
Noah's lips curled into a small, sad smile, but the burden was still there.
I wish I could believe that.
Olivia leaned forward, kissing him gently.
You have me! And I'll always believe in us. We've fought too hard to let doubt take over.
For a moment, Noah let himself relax, his arms wrapping around Olivia as he buried his face in her hair. She was his anchor, the one constant in his life that kept him grounded. As the years went on, their love was put to the ultimate test. Noah's mother, Mrs. Amelia, never fully accepted Olivia as the woman for her son, but she had stopped openly fighting against them. However, a new challenge arose when Noah's family faced a financial crisis that threatened the empire his family had built. It was a situation that required tough decisions that could either save the family business or break it apart. Olivia found herself caught in the middle once again. As Noah's right-hand woman, she was involved in the business decisions. But it was clear that Mrs. Amelia wanted her son to sever ties with Olivia to save the company's reputation. Mrs. Amelia saw Olivia as a distraction, an obstacle to the future she had envisioned for her son. She started to subtly push Noah away from Olivia, hinting that their relationship could be the cause of their downfall. One evening, Mrs. Amelia took Noah's side in the grand family estate, away from Olivia's watchful eyes.
Noah, I've been patient, but this has gone on long enough. If you want to save his company, you have to end things with Olivia. She's not the future I envisioned for you.
She said, her voice sharp. Noah's jaw tightened, his patience worn thin.
I've told you 100 times, Mom, Olivia is my future. I don't care about the company's image. I care about her.
Mrs. Amelia's face twisted in disbelief.
You think I'm just going to let my only son destroy everything we've worked for? She's a maid, Noah. She was a maid. She'll never fit into this world. You know this.
Noah's anger flared, but he kept his cool.
I don't care where she came from, Mom. Olivia is more than enough for me. And if you can't accept that, then that's your problem, not mine.
Mrs. Amelia's eyes narrowed, a cold smile spreading across her face.
We'll see how long you can hold on to that idealistic view, son. The world won't be as kind to her as you are.
Noah turned away, his fists clenched, as he walked back to Olivia. He knew his mother was right about one thing. They were facing a storm that could either tear them apart or make them stronger than ever. With the financial crisis looming, Olivia found herself in the middle of a battle she never expected. Noah was facing pressure from all sides, from his mother, from the board of directors, and from society. But through it all, Olivia remained steadfast by his side, even as the strain began to take its toll. Noah's internal struggle intensified. He could feel his mother's influence, her subtle manipulation, creeping into every decision he made. But Olivia never wavered. She continued to work side by side with him, offering support even when she felt the walls closing in. One night, when the weight of everything seemed too much, Noah snapped. He pulled Olivia into his arms, his voice low with frustration and fear.
I can't keep doing this, Olivia.
He confessed.
I can't keep pretending everything is okay when it feels like the world is falling apart.
Olivia wiped away a tear that had escaped down his cheek.
Noah, we've been through worse. We can get through this too.
His hand trembled as he cupped her face.
I don't want to lose you.
You won't.
She whispered, leaning in to kiss him gently.
We'll fight for us. We always have.
And so they did. Together, they faced every challenge that came their way, their love stronger than the sum of their fears. Olivia never gave up on him, and Noah never gave up on them. Months passed, and the business slowly began to recover, thanks to Noah's decisions and Olivia's unwavering support, while Mrs. Amelia's opposition to Olivia never fully disappeared. She began to soften as she saw the undeniable strength of their relationship. The outside world slowly started to recognize Noah not just as the heir to a fortune, but as a force to be reckoned with both in business and in life. He had proven that love and loyalty were far more valuable than anything money could buy. One evening, Noah stood by the balcony of their home, gazing out over the city with Olivia by his side. Their journey had been anything but easy. But as they looked back on everything they had overcome, they knew they were stronger for it. They had built a future together. Future where love and integrity took precedence over everything else. We did it, Olivia said softly, squeezing his hand. We did, Noah agreed, his voice full of pride. With the sun setting behind them, Noah and Olivia looked toward the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they had already defied the odds, and nothing could stand in their way.